No one's going to do crazier things than kids. It's completely normal. They're going to do stuff that might make you really angry.
How should I deal with sibling fights when they're bickering all the time, so name-calling, taunting, and roasting? After a day of it, my blood is boiling and I struggle not to explode.
Usually there's one antagonist, and it's usually the younger one. So is the younger one antagonizing the older one? What I would do is I'd get to the bottom of it.
This is very frustrating. She doesn't care about listening. I don't believe in rewards like candy or treats. How can I get her to listen?
Okay, well, there's lots of different things that you can do there. Like, welcome to the Bratbusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at Bratbusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, sweetie, what are we talking about today?
Today's topic is, do your kids make you feel angry?
Good topic. Good one.
And then before we get into the questions, I do have some just general questions about this. So first, is it normal to feel angry at your kids?
Of course it is. They can drive you nuts. You just don't want to show it. But it's okay to be angry? Yep, absolutely. And then some parents will say to me, but isn't it important that they see my emotions? I don't think they need to see your anger. I think it's important that they see you're vulnerable, but it's okay to look a little bit miffed, but I don't think full-blown anger is ever good for kids to see. I don't think they need to see that.
I think that gets a lot of pushback online when you say that, because parents then go, well, should I just be fake towards my kids?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. We have to cover a lot of stuff up. Like, let's say you're going through horrible grief. You've lost someone. Are you going to sob openly in front of your kids? No. Okay, so yeah, you do want to be a little bit fake. Okay, you could be angry at them, but you don't scream at them. You want to be fake and not scream. Yeah.
Since you touched on the grief, though, I think it is important to note, you're not saying don't cry at all.
That's right. I'm just saying don't go full-blown sobbing and scare the heck out of them. Your anger, your grief, all those big, huge emotions that are negative, they scare kids, okay? It's okay to show that you're a little bit miffed and that you're grieving for someone. Yes, that's okay, but it's the big, huge negative emotions scares them, makes them feel unsafe.
Okay. And then let's say that you have done that. How would you move forward as a parent?
Well, you just move forward. I mean, you just say, yeah, okay, I lost it. I got angry. Here's a consequence. Don't have a consequence for showing grief, but say, look, I really yelled at you. I feel bad about that. I shouldn't have done that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you out for ice cream or whatever and try and make it up to you. So you show them that you do have remorse and that you do want to make it up to them by doing something nice for them.
How do you get over your own guilt as a parent?
You just have to move past it. You know, we're all going to make mistakes. It's just part of life. Do you ever have something that you look back on and you said something really stupid and it's really embarrassing? I've got one I've been dwelling on lately, just something I said to someone really randomly years ago, and I came out looking like a moron. But I didn't know it, of course, at the time, but I still cringe. You know, that kind of stuff? Let it go. It's hard to do. But shame and embarrassment and all that stuff. Remember that you were okay. I just did this symbol that she would have known. She went to some event and she got awkward. You walked into a bunch of balloons or something. Are you going to leave this in or knock it out?
No, what I'm laughing at is that you were talking about yours and you go, anyways, and you go, well, here's Amy's that I'm going to just openly discuss.
I glazed over my own. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to yours. But anyway, we're all going to do stuff that's embarrassing and that we regret. Just move forward in a better way. That's all. That's all you can do. You can't erase it. You can learn from it, maybe, but you can't erase it.
Now, to finish the story, since you've started it, I ran into some balloons at this networking event that I was at, and I thankfully didn't say sorry to the balloons. What I did is I turned to the people closest to me. I reached out my arm and I said, thank you, as I put my palm down. I don't know what I was saying thank you to. And they looked at me like I was
nuts,
having a good time.
And she doesn't even drink, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, just dumb. She obviously was embarrassed and that's how she dealt with it. She said, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to walk into those balloons. We all do stuff like that. I know it's a poor example of this, but yeah, if you've made mistakes in the past, just own it and move forward. It's all you can do.
If parents find themselves getting angry in the moment, where do they even start?
Yeah, get the behavior board, get started with that. And then it's got a section for toddlers in there too. It helps you get organized and get a plan. We tend to be able to control ourselves better when we know what to do better. And a plan is the way to go. Get a system, get a structure, routine in place. And that's what the behavior board is teaching you.
Yeah, because I do feel as though when we hear questions about parents yelling, it often is because they feel lost.
Well, they yell because they don't know what else to do. I'm just here to teach you what else to do. Okay. So yeah, you don't want to yell. No one wants to yell at their kids, but you do it because it's your go-to. Maybe you were yelled at as a kid. Most kids were. I never was. My mom never yelled at me, and neither did my dad. So I just didn't grow up with it. So it wasn't a go-to for me. So I was lucky that way. But yeah, if you yell, just most parents yell, by the way. It's just because they don't know what else to do. They don't yell because they want to. They yell because it's their only go-to. And by the way, it works in the moment, but it backfires down the road big time.
I was just about to say is that I would assume as well it's almost like this positive reinforcement because the kids listen oftentimes when the parents yell.
Well, of course, because it does work, but it backfires down the road. It works for a while, but then yellers raise yellers. So they'll start yelling back, especially when they're tweens and teens. That's when it backfires.
That's why you don't recommend it.
Well, not just that, but it scares them. I mean, it's not a good thing to do. Do you know every single kid I've asked this question of, you know what? They've also had the same answer. I've said to them, would you rather be spanked or yelled at? Every single one has said they'd rather be spanked. Interesting. They hate being yelled at. Hate it. They get used to it, but they don't like it. Makes them feel bad. Makes them feel worse than being spanked. I'm not saying you should spank or yell. I'm just saying that every single kid I've asked that question of has said they'd rather be spanked. Interesting, eh?
I am glad that you clarified that about the
Yeah, it's
spanking.
not, yeah, you don't spank or you shouldn't spank or yell, but that's what kids have told me that, yeah, they really hate yelling. It scares them.
Okay. Maybe let's get into the questions. Okay, the first one is Mackenzie from Canada. I have two girls, 6 months old and 3.5 years old. My 3.5-year-old seems to be constantly throwing fits these days. Usually she just cries or buries her head in the couch, lays on the floor, not violent tantrums or anything. She wants to control everything, like going up the stairs first, being the one to open or close the doors, pull her blinds down. If someone else does it, she loses it. She also will follow her morning and bedtime routines, but I feel it's a fight to get through it, with several reminders throughout and usually a couple of meltdowns because I start doing something for her and she takes too long to do it, like starting to get dressed for her when she isn't doing it herself. I feel like I'm exhausted, angry all the time, and my patience is thin because I'm taking care of a baby as well. Please help.
I'm not exactly sure why she's doing it, because there could be several different reasons. But what I would do is if I had to get something done and she's too slow, I might say to her, hey, come on, let's pull the blinds down. If she doesn't do it or whatever, then I just pull it down if she starts having a little fit. But you said it's not real tantrums. It's more theater, more drama. So I would just say, oh, you're all right. You'll survive, or something like that. So you want to meet it with that energy. The energy is, you're all right. In other words, go ahead. Like, let her have that little scene. So just follow through with what needs to be done. If she chooses not to do it in a timely fashion, follow through with the action, and then let her deal with her own little scene. Okay. Don't feed it. You're probably feeding it. You have to be. At 3.5, if she keeps doing this, there's no reason to do that. And they only do what works, by the way, at that age. There's no reason to do it unless you're feeding it. It must bug you. And she must know it. So yeah, I would just say, you're all right. Okay, so let's go. And then just change the subject. Control the narrative, control the energy in the room. Don't let her do it. That's what she's doing. She's controlling you.
How could quote unquote feeding it look?
Any attention. Oh, you'll be okay. Well, all you had to do is, you're talking about it. I don't do that. I just say, oh, you're all right. But not if they're tantruming. I just ignore them completely. But if they're just having a little fit because you did something for them that they want to do, then I just say, oh, you'll survive. You'll be okay. And then I change the subject. I control the narrative. I control the energy in the room, not her. She's controlling it right now.
The racing up the stairs just reminded me of when we would race in the door after school.
Oh, I'll tell you, these kids used to drive me nuts with this. Okay, so we had 2 bathrooms in our house and I had an alarm system. So they knew that as soon as we got in the door, I had to stand in front of the panel and, what do they call it? Disarm the alarm, right? Well, in that time, they had raced to get their shoes off and they both sat in the toilets. They ran for the toilet and they knew I always had to pee. So they would run and just hog the toilet. They would be laughing hysterically. And I'd be trying to put my arm and my legs out, trying to stop them from getting in the house. It was a game every day after school. They would just sit on those toilets and my son would say, yeah, can you bring me a newspaper? I think I'm going to be here for a while. Just because he knew I had to go pee.
The bladder of a mouse.
Anyway, it was fun. My kids were fun. It was fun. You were so much fun growing up. You really were. Not now, but they were. They were fun. No, they're still fun.
Yeah, once she hits 18, nah.
No, they were, we just had a lot of laughs in the house and I was always the butt of the jokes. So.
I don't know. I was a little bit too.
That's true too. I didn't want to mention that, but yeah, I would say your son, my son wasn't as much. He was the real funny one. So it was usually me and Amy who were the butt of the jokes, and we ate it up. We loved it.
All in good fun.
It was.
Okay, the next one is Dejana from Germany. Hi, Lisa. What if I get angry while giving a consequence, especially when my 3-year-old runs away? My consequence was that we were leaving immediately and I took action. I was not complaining and I did not discuss, although he started to say, now I won't run away. I just repeated one time and it's already too late, and so this is the consequence. Although I did not complain or was very angry, I'm sure it showed on my face. I was also very quiet for a few minutes and then started to chatter again. Do I address my anger?
Well, there's a couple things there. You said you're heading out the door and you did a consequence. If he's acting out, getting out the door, you say, "Oh, we'll talk about it when we get home." You don't do it as you're trying to get out the door. That's why you're angry, because you're trying to get out the door. Do whatever you got to do to get him out the door. Because if he's already broken the rule, like let's say you say, okay, you have to get out the door within 5 minutes of being asked to do so, whatever. So put that as a rule on the behavior board. And if he doesn't, then you say, we'll talk about it when we get home. So just forget about it until you get home. Then let's say, let's go to the board. Okay, remember the rule was that you have to get out the door within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. And you didn't do that. So here's your consequence. Get organized. Don't deal with it when you're in a rush. Say, we'll deal with it later. Because he's 3. You said that you dealt with it like it was an action, like consistent corrective actions with toddlers. At 3 years old, I use the behavior board. So you can delay the consequence. With toddlers, you can't. It has to be done right in the present moment.
Okay. The next one is Sam from the United States. This is just one of the questions. My 3-year-old is not listening. I give her clear instructions when it's okay time to put the toys away. In the living room before dinner, when she ignores or starts playing, I take the fun away and give her another chance, or help or sit with her in the dinner chair and watch me clean up. This is very frustrating. She doesn't care about listening. I don't believe in rewards like candy or treats. How can I get her to listen? I'm doing consistent corrective actions and she still doesn't listen.
Okay, well, there's lots of different things that you can do there. Like, let's just address the toys. You said I asked her to pick up the toys. So that's what we'll talk about for this answer. So you say you put on the behavior board. Remember, we're using a behavior board. That's free on my website, bratbusters.com, when you sign up for the newsletter. Use the behavior board and put down this rule. The rule is pick up 15 toys within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. Okay, it's a very specific rule. And make sure you do it when it's fair and reasonable. Don't do it when she's tired or hungry, or, when she's out of sorts, sort of thing. So you say, okay, now's a good time. I'm going to start the timer and I want you to pick up 15 toys within 15 minutes. If she doesn't, then you go to the board and you say, okay, so you didn't do the rule, and then you have a consequence and follow through. That's how you get her to listen. It's the consequences. It's not the nagging. It's not the reminding. It's not the threats. That's just garbage. It's the consequences. So if she chooses not to listen, like not pick up those 15 toys, then she just gets a consequence. Okay. That is what teaches us all lessons in life. That's why we pay our mortgage. That's why we pay our taxes. We don't want to be fined. We don't want to lose our house, right? It's all about consequences. That's what keeps us all in the straight and narrow. Is that the right term, straight and narrow?
Never heard that.
I've never said that, I don't think. That's what keeps us all good. Okay, so yeah, it's the consequences. So just teach her that. If you make a poor choice, then you have to pay for it. That's all there is. No anger. Just follow through and say, here's your consequence. You'll see how it works when you see the board. And then people say, well, how do I get them to do the consequence? There are 2 consequences for the kids. The first one's a positive action, which is usually a chore. If they won't do that, then you take something away. It's usually 24-hour media blackout. Okay. So that's how you can control that. You can control the second consequence, not the first one. You want to give them a chance to make a good decision in the first place and do the rule. If they choose to break it, they chose to do that. Now they've chosen to get the first consequence, which is the positive action. So do a chore. They chose that. If they choose not to do that, then you choose to take something away. It's the only time you make a choice. Okay. You let them choose to do the right thing, then choose not to make it up to you by doing the first consequence, and then you choose the last one, which is the last resort. You want them to learn it's all up to them.
Just the logistics with this one. 15 toys. You talk about the fact that you don't want to micromanage. Are you counting the toys with them?
Yeah, you are, but you're not telling them to pick them up. You're just counting. You're just the tallier, the timer and the tallier. You're the counter, but you're not telling them how to do it or anything. You just say, pick up toys within 15 minutes. And then as they pick them up, you go 1, but you don't say, come on, pick up more. That's the micromanaging. Counting is not micromanaging.
So I was going to ask, what if they can't count to 15?
Well, then you're counting. You're going, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, almost 15 then. But don't tell them to do it. That's the important part. Do not micromanage. You're just there counting.
Okay.
That's a good question, by the way. That's a really good question.
Like Count Dracula.
That on Sesame Street?
Yeah, don't make me laugh. Is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. What was it? What was it?
I
It
think.
was very cute. Yeah, I remember that. Count Dracula. Okay, what made you think of that?
Counting.
Oh, I see. Oh, I never connected those two.
Did you actually not?
No, I didn't. I was
Oh,
out to
okay.
lunch. Okay, I do that a lot. Okay, sorry.
Okay, the next question is Palacia from New Zealand. Hi, Lisa. I have two daughters, one almost 4 and another one who's 4 months old. Do you have some more routine examples of a deprivation consequence that isn't media blackout? We have been having success with chore consequences, but I struggle a lot with the negative deprivation as we don't do screens. She doesn't care about toys going away, and I find myself struggling to come up with appropriate consequences in the day to day. I feel like I'm having to come up with things that really get to her, which doesn't feel nice and makes me feel flustered in the moment and frustrated as well. Half the time I undercook the consequence and she doesn't care, or I go overboard and reflect that it was way too much. I worry it comes across as inconsistent. Any suggestions would be appreciated.
Yeah, I want to defend myself when I said I didn't put together the counting because when I'm talking, sometimes I say the same thing so many times, I literally tune myself out. I wasn't listening to myself. Isn't that awful? It's like when you drive and you don't have any memory of getting there. Anyway, that's my defense and I'm standing by it. Now, you talked about deprivation and she doesn't seem to care about it. And what you're doing when you're inconsistent is you're swinging the pendulum. In other words, you're too easy. You let stuff go because you couldn't be bothered disciplining. Then she pushes and pushes, and then you go nuts, and then you swing the pendulum the other way and you go too far. Okay, what? My daughter's laughing at me.
You keep going and then I will explain after.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, with the deprivation discipline, quit laughing. Now she's having a fit. Okay, I'm going to finish this. The deprivation is usually 24-hour media blackout. You have to take something away for a whole day that they play with every single day and really matters to them. If you don't have anything, you invent leverage. You invent something to take away. So it goes like this. You say, okay, so she didn't do the first consequence, which is just the chore. You say, okay, so let's go to the board. You chose not to do that. So I'll tell you what, we were going to surprise you by going out for ice cream tonight. But now because you didn't do that consequence, we're not going. You were never going to go out for ice cream and you don't owe her that the next day. She might, if I'm good tomorrow, do I get? No, it was just going to be a surprise tonight. Okay, so you've just invented leverage. You were never even going to go out for ice cream. Oh, for goodness sake. What is so funny? My daughter's just having a fit here. Okay. Okay, anyway, so that's how you do it. You invent leverage. Now, what the heck are you going on about?
I can barely get it out.
Okay. Did I do something dumb?
No, I did.
What?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so sorry for anyone listening because it's probably very loud. You know, I said Count Dracula.
Yes, yes.
The don't make me laugh. That's from Greece. That's Danny Zuko from Greece.
Danny Zuko from Greece. So you've got Count Dracula and Danny Zuko mixed
Remember that
up.
scene where he
Don't make me laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay, leave all this in. We're having a really silly day, mother-daughter stuff. Anyway, this started long before we started the podcast, so let's just get going now.
You see the tears running down my face.
Yeah, they are. And I'm normally the giggler. The last time you giggled that hard was I have a headlamp, and I used to laugh, and I used to say, well, you know, my old headlamp had 30 lumens. This new one has 600 lumens. Like it is really strong because I used to have dogs that I had to walk late at night. So anyway, she's looking at this thing and I'm always the one messing up. She's looking into this thing. She turns it on by accident and she blinds herself. We didn't see it happen. She's got the giggle. She couldn't even tell us. So she had to go to the bathroom first, of course. And then she comes out and she goes, 600 lumens right in the old eyeballs. So
I was seeing lumens for days.
That was the last time she laughed that hard. So anyway.
Okay. The last question is Abby from New Zealand. How should I deal with sibling fights when they're bickering all the time? Name calling. Well, now you're laughing.
Sorry, Danny Zuko. That's right. That's right. Don't make me laugh. Ha, ha, ha. If anyone's seen Grease, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. She just got it mixed up with Sesame Street's Count Dracula. I can see that. They're so similar. Count Dracula and John Travolta. Okay.
Oh, geez.
Abby from New Zealand.
How should I deal with sibling fights when they're bickering all the time? So name calling, taunting, and roasting. I've tried ignoring it, but when it's all day, it gets really hard. Kids are 10 and a 10-year-old boy and 13-year-old girl. I finally got them off their devices using your board, but now they are around me all the time fighting, and after a day of it, my blood is boiling and I struggle not to explode.
Okay. Usually there's Well, maybe not, but usually there's one antagonist, and it's usually the younger one. So is the younger one antagonizing the older one? What I would do is I'd get to the bottom of it and I'd say, okay, so let's have I do the interview. So you say, I'm going to do an interview now. I'm going to ask you questions on what started the arguing. Okay. Draw a line down the center of the page and each name at the top. And then you ask them, you give them 2 minutes each. And you say, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You tell me your side of the story. Write bullet points about this, what he says, what she said, what below. Then you go to the other one. Now it's your 2 minutes. And if you can't figure it out, say, I'm going to give you 2 minutes each. Do this, take long time doing this, like literally drag it out, talk slow, look like you're thinking about it, and then say, okay, I've decided that you caused the trouble, so you're going to get a consequence. But you can usually tell who's lying. You'll usually know anyway by their body language or tone of voice. But if not, the one who's lying will usually change the story. The truth never changes. They might beef it up a little bit, but the truth never changes. So do the interviewing. I've literally had families that have said to me that when they do this over a period of time, they'll hear the kids start to fight in the other room. Then one of them will say, wait a minute, we don't want to do an interview. So they literally will self-correct themselves and stop fighting to avoid the interview. So give that a go. Just do the interview to get to the bottom of who caused it and then hand out a consequence for who did.
Okay, that was everything.
That was everything. I'm sorry it was such a crazy session. Leave it all in. It's just we're just having a really crazy day today, and parents can really get angry at their kids. It's completely normal. They can really drive you nuts. No one's going to do crazier things than kids. They might even stick their hands down their pants and smear poop on the wall when they're toddlers. Okay, they're going to do crazy stuff. As teenagers, they might tell you to flip. They might flip the bird up at you. They're going to do stuff that might make you really angry. Try not to show it. It's okay that you get angry. Just try not to show it. It's one, and we talk about this a lot because I can understand why. And you said, you mean you should just be fake? Yes, you should. It's like at work. You shouldn't show anger and yell at work either, right? So sometimes, and this is one of those situations, you want to show you can control yourself. Because I talk about calm leadership parenting. It's when the poop hits the fan is when it really kicks in. That's when you really need it. The more angry you get, the calmer you want to act, okay? Eventually, it will pay off. You'll get it. It'll just start to get easier, and the kids will start to get easier too. So just fake it till you make it. And you can show that you're a bit miffed, but even that I try not to do, but that's okay. But just don't get really angry. Okay. And that's about it. All done?
All done.
You feeling better now?
I am. That was
Okay.
it was a good laugh.
That was a very good laugh. Okay. Okay. Thanks so much for joining us. Back again soon, talking about another parenting topic. Happy parenting.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out bratbusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit bratbusters.com/disclaimer.